Hey, we are live. How is it going? It is Sunday, November 20th is when we're doing this. Of course, it's timeless if you're watching this on YouTube in the future, and hopefully with this microphone, everything's working properly. You can hear me. This is my first time trying this setup live. So, hey, lucky to be here. How are you going? Can everybody hear me all right so far? With I'm trying a different microphone setup. Excuse me. Hey, how's it going? Dream Kitten, how's it going? Marina, how's it going? Sounds fine. Perfect. Awesome. And hopefully it sounds better than it did before, if it mattered at all. But we're just I'm trying to up the quality. So we'll see. Good day. Sending love to you too. Lucky to be here. Sounds great. Perfect. Good. One thing I do not have ready are the signs, which I still need to make new ones, but that's fine. Now I have them ready. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, we're trying something new with the microphone. Excuse me. Oh, I forgot to turn my... Oh, that's okay. Forgot to turn my lighting on over here. All right. Not sure if that matters. Nice setup. Thank you, Cowtippa. Good to see you, by the way. Thank you so much for showing up today, Brandon. You're welcome. Yeah, absolutely. So... they want to jump into the collective reading soon is what I'm getting. So they want me to put the sign on the wall. So I'm going to do that. It's, I think I don't need to, but I like to unmirror it. There we go. Even though it's kind of like weird for me. It just, so this is going to be a collective reading. So it's for pretty much everyone here. When you see it, sounds amazing. Perfect. That's what I'm going for. And so it doesn't matter what your signs are. It's just the collective reading just for whoever's here, whoever's watching it, when you're watching it. And then we'll jump into, of course, the fire signs, earth signs, air signs, water signs, and probably a full channel mode message at the end, and maybe guitar, because they're showing me guitar, so we might get into that as well. So let's just delve in. So the first message that came through, I've got channel messages here that I'm reading, and then my spirit guides, the angels and source will bring through any additional information that is for the highest good as I go through these. Well, they were showing me giraffe, our good friend giraffe showing up again, but they're also showing me tall grass, is like, interestingly enough. And the message coming through with the tall grass is surprises. Of course, like things that are unexpected, which is what surprises means. So give me 1 second to just sit with this message and see what the full message is for you guys. Excuse me. So I'll just get into the message that came through with giraffe, because that's what they're showing me, and we'll see if they like bring through anything else. Because with this giraffe, he was like munching on grass. But the message I kept getting was like, oh, you know what? This giraffe needs to like move forward and kind of get his butt in gear a little bit. Like, especially if there's something you need to do, like I would do it. But the other thing they were showing me is like in the distance, there were like these mountains, and the word that was with the mountains in the visual was dreams. And this giraffe would just kind of like, he'd kind of see it and he'd kind of like turn around and start like, I don't know if giraffes like even eat grass, but he kept leaning down to like eat all this grass. And like these angels were like, or these spirit guides are like kicking him like, hey, go to your dreams. And he's just like, he'd kind of walk to his dreams and then turn around and start like eating the grass again. So honestly, one message in addition to that, which is, I feel is pretty obviously like, I would be moving towards your dreams and like not delaying it if you can help it. Not getting too distracted by shiny things. I don't feel like that's the total message. But the other thing is like, if you are working towards something or you have dreams you're moving towards, like don't permanently quit. Even if you have to reluctantly move forward, I would move forward. Really, this giraffe just needs to get moving are the words I'm hearing. And that symbolizes you, of course, if you so I would get moving on something. And I feel like now is kind of the time, or soon is the time. I would also try not to get distracted by, I'm hearing these words like, don't get distracted by what everyone else is pointing you to, because I feel like If you guys ever seen South Park, some of you might have, because I in my early 20s, especially more before I really got into this stuff, I would watch a lot of South Park, and there was this one episode where they start this Christian band called Faith Plus One, and I know I'm like over describing this, but on the album cover, they're all like, the joke is like, in album covers all you have to do is have the band members face in like different directions and it looks like an album cover, and they're kind of showing like these people pointing, like facing different directions and like pointing like you in that direction, but it's like 10 different people pointing in like 10 different directions, and like none of it's really congruent. So I would also trust yourself on your direction, and maybe trust the universe on your direction, and don't worry about what people around you are saying regarding your dreams is something I'm getting. I don't feel like I'm totally nailing this, so give me 1 second to just summarize the message that I'm getting fully, if that's good. And they're kind of just indicating you already get the message and I should move on. So I'm going to do that. So what would be high so much for me to get to next here? There are just like a lot of, they're going back to the tall grass message. They're just saying there are a lot of surprises right now for everyone. Like we just kind of might be in that time period. They're showing me a visual they typically show me when it comes to things having to do with astrology or like astrological movements, but they're showing like it looks like Mercury. I don't know if it matters what specific planet it is, but it's like kind of like bumping into another planet, weirdly enough. And what is the message here? Sometimes things might just seem a little bit scattered or like they're not arranging properly, but they're actually arranging perfectly. It just looks a little bit chaotic. And the way things are shifting right now, things can be pretty sudden. Things can be like all of a sudden. Things can be out of nowhere. There can be a lot of surprises, and there will be. But it's all playing out perfectly is the message I'm getting as well. And it kind of reminds me of a science experiment, or when you have the beakers and you pour different fluids together and there's a big chemical reaction and things like not necessarily blow up, but like the beaker like overflows with like foam and like starts fizzing and stuff like that. Like it's a little bit chaotic, but it's exactly what's supposed to happen is the message I'm getting, which is really interesting. And maybe when you're in the middle of the science experiment, it seems like there's a lot going on, but it's exactly what needs to happen. There was a message. They showed me like a mountain. This mountain actually looks well climbed in this visual though. Like there's already all these like indicators or like, like I think mountain climbers will like hammer spikes into the mountainside. Don't quote me on that. I haven't really gone mountain climbing, but like there's all that stuff all over the mountain. Like it's well climbed. So what is the message for you guys regarding that? Some of you might think that there's something that's unsurpassable, like either as an obstacle or in your life, or maybe even something you want to accomplish. But it's like people have already done it, is the message I'm getting. So you should try it as something. So if there's something you want to do and people have already done it, you should probably try doing it. Is the message I'm getting on that one, interestingly enough. The other message is there might be obstacles trying to like steer you in your life. Like sometimes like they're showing me this thing, like an obstacle showing up in someone's path, and they're just like, oh, I suck. Like, oh, it's a lesson. But it could just be steering you towards your joy. So I wouldn't view obstacles as inherently bad right now. They're giving me a time frame of the next week or so. That seems a little bit short to me, but I'm not, I just channel the messages. I don't know if that's just what I do, but that's one of the main targets, is that I'm just purely channeling the messages for you guys. And that was what I was hearing. I was like, at least over the next week or so. So what else would be highest much for you to bring through here regarding this mountain, or regarding this message here? I was hearing the words, at least for some of you, like you're not doing as badly as you think. Obstacles are either just trying to teach you something or redirect you, but it's not because you suck or anything like that. And you're not doing anything wrong. It's just sometimes the universe has something else in mind. They're showing me this boulder next, like from Shrek. I don't know why that matters, but they're saying it's from Shrek, they were showing me the boulder from Shrek. So what's the message here? Fully for that's good regarding the boulder here. they're showing this giant like flinging boulders, and it kind of reminds me of, I think it's from The Hobbit actually, when there were the giants that threw like boulders around. So why is this giant throwing boulders? What's the message for you guys? Fully for that is good. Because like as the giant is throwing these boulders, they like land on your path in front of you, and it's a little bit discouraging because they almost show like a kid building a sandcastle on a beach, and then like, you know, the bully comes and like wrecks it, or it's like you feel like you're almost to something and then like a boulder lands in your path and it like blocks the way, or crushes something you were working on. And it could symbolize world events is what these boulders could symbolize. Could be other people or just something else, acts of God, quote unquote, something else entirely. And by that I mean more like the insurance acts of God, not like actual perhaps acts of God. But why are we talking about this? What's the message here? One, I would not give up. Two, it's kind of what we were just talking about with the obstacles. If a boulder, metaphorical boulder, gets in your way or like crushes something you're working on, there's just better for you, or the universe wants you to try again, is the message I'm getting as well. And sometimes the second or maybe third time is the charm. Sometimes restarting is the answer. And I know you probably don't want to hear it because well, it depends. Sometimes I can just take it pretty zen and I'm just like, okay. And other times I'm like, bro. So I think it really depends. But if something gets like crushed, I would restart it. Next message here. So there was just a quick message. It kind of just plays off of everything we were already talking about. But horse spirit animal showed up, and this is not the message I typically get with horse spirit animal, but they kept showing me this new target. So it was like the universe is having you take aim in different ways in life, so you might have a change of targets. By targets, if I were to explain a bit more, I started using the word target instead of goal, and I completely got that from Access Consciousness and Dr. Dane here, and I don't know if I'll keep doing it, but they have their reasons for doing that, and for some reason I just felt like doing that too. So I just use the word target now. Not that it matters, probably, but I feel like if you're aiming for something in life, the universe might be having you switch targets. They're also showing the initial target as like a mirage. It's like it looks like it's there, it looks like it's something, and you're taking aim and you're heading towards it, but it's like, I don't like this analogy, but it's like it just keeps getting further away as you move towards it. Like, you know, in a video game, like there's things in the background that you can't get to. They're just like texture walls in the video game. It's kind of like that. It's like heading towards a mirage, but the universe is like redirecting you to something that's real. So if you're heading towards something and you get redirected, I feel like that's, after all these messages, I feel like that's perfectly good. I feel like that's perfectly fine and probably a good thing. So there was a quick thing that popped up, and they want me to skip the message. So there was a message that came through where it was like a peace offering from the universe, but it could also just be from someone or like a job or something. And it's almost like you're getting an offer of peace in some area of your life. And it could be very subtle. It could just be like a friendship morphs and becomes more peaceful, or it could become you having more peace at work, or maybe someone who was causing problems gets fired or something like that, as an example for that. But in some way, shape, or form, it's like the universe wants to extend peace to you, and they keep showing like this it almost looks like an indigenous chieftain or something, like smoking a peace pipe or whatever they were called. And I don't know, that's what they're showing me with this message as well. It's like he's kind of like extending this peace pipe to you, and he wants you to puff it. And don't take this literally, this is not meant to be like a drugs reference at all. It's literally just what they're showing me. And yeah, I don't know, I think that is just the message there. And so the next message here, I feel like I get this every now and then with these lives or just different readings, but I'll bring it through as much as it needs to come through. It was just about divine protection. Dragon showed up with this one. It was about divine protection, and the message was you might be worried about nothing right now. So like take a chill pill about world events. You're going to be okay. Focus on the question, what do I truly want in life? And then try to create that, was the advice that I was getting for you. So I feel like you're divinely protected as long as you're taking care of yourself and doing what you need to do. They're showing me the chap would carry water with the doing what you need to do, if that means anything to anyone. The other thing with this dragon, never mind, there's no more with the dragon, because they were showing this dragon with like a symbol on its chest, and I was getting it was one of the membership readings I was doing, there was like a dragon that showed up with like a symbol on its chest, and it was like really particular. And this one did as well. For you guys though, they don't have an additional message regarding that. Right now they're clarifying like, oh, it's just like, it's just fun for you. I'm like, okay. Thanks guys. But love ya. But let's move on to the next message here. What else would be highest much for me to get to here? So there was a quick message, like they showed me garlic, and like there was this random message like you're protected from vampires. So this is collective, Calcary. Oh, thanks, Destiny. I should just let the moderators handle things. But it was just this message: you're protected from vampires. I think sometimes we overly worry about things like stories other people have about something like dark they encountered, or about energy, vampires or whatever. And it's like, we don't really need to worry. It's like, those things can just be stories, and or that person might have encountered something and they just don't know how to describe it, and it was like different than what they were saying it is. And I would also just be like wary, this is just popping in, like just wary of like random YouTube videos that say fear-based things. Like there's a lot of crazy stuff out there. I mean, it's just like people saying whatever they want to say, or just people spouting their opinions, and it's like, is it necessarily truth? Sometimes people are speaking truth, sometimes not. So I would just be wary of like conspiracy theories, or just people saying fear-based things about spirituality. It's just not true is what I'm getting, in case you were worried about anything like that. And Grasshopper's been showing up the past couple weeks for whatever reason. He's showing up again. He's kind of just talking about how for some of you it's time to make moves, like it's time to get a move on, kind of like Giraffe was talking about. For others of you, what is this Grasshopper saying here? I would just like make moves when you're ready. You don't have to force it if you don't feel ready, but I feel like the time is soon is something I'm getting as well. So like next month is like a time frame I'm getting, if you needed to hear that. So I would be aware of that. Like I would not be, sitting still. And there are some messages for some of the signs that came through in addition to the collective. Like I think it was the earth signs that was really getting this message to, 1 second here, to rest is what I was getting. And they're kind of saying like, it doesn't matter, you should be resting and taking action. So I don't know. But I'm going to close the collective reading there. I do feel like there's one more. They're showing me this oyster, and there's kind of like this weird sea creature with tentacles is something they're showing me as well. But with the oyster here, sometimes we don't realize the pearls that life is handing us through our experiences, or the pearls we've gathered in the past. And sometimes we have something really valuable that we are sitting on, and we're just kind of like, oh, this old thing, I've had that for years, but it doesn't make it less valuable. So whether it's a lesson in the past, or some type of knowledge you have, or it's a business you want to start, you might be underselling your value big time, are the words I'm hearing, regarding something you want to do, or something you have to offer, or even just your wisdom from the past. And I would not do that if you can avoid doing that. I would try to see your value for what it is, and realize like, it kind of reminds me of a different quote, and I'll get to that in a second because I don't feel like it totally pertains. But you might not think it's valuable because you're used to it, or it's like the way you live your life, but other people might find it invaluable. So for some of you, it's a message like, if you're hesitating to put yourself out there, stop doing that and like put yourself out there. For others, it's like, you want to start a business and you're selling yourself short is like another thing I'm hearing. That's a potential thing going on for you. Or you're just wiser than you realize. So that's the last thing. The last thing they're showing me is this strange sea creature with tentacles, and it looks okay. I was kind of getting this term of strange events, but I just want to make sure I'm getting the right message for you guys here. I think one of the things that's happening right now, and I don't really think, this is what I'm hearing, is there's a lot of new things coming to Earth, whether it's through other people, whether it's inventions in the physical, whether it's modalities, or just different things people are creating. And we are kind of in this in-between stage before like maybe all the new things birth and like all the old falls away. Like we're kind of haphazardly holding on to certain old things, but like open to new things like beliefs. And it's kind of like this in-between stage, but a lot of the new is going to start to come in more rapidly, and some of it might seem really unorthodox or out there or like strange, even if it's like a physical invention. And one of the things I'm hearing is just roll with it, which is interesting to me. Because in some ways it's like, what choice do we have with that? But don't shoo things away just because they're new and different, whether it's the way a relationship is showing up or it's the way something new is showing up in your life. It's like really take time to sit with it and like realize like, is this a good thing? Is it really as bad as it seems? Could this potentially be the best thing yet I've experienced? Like kind of just sit with it for a second if something just seems strange or unorthodox or new, because it's like new is birthing and it's not always what we expect. It's not always what we think is best, but it could be far better than we realize based on what's coming, or based on where the world is headed, or based on where we or our path is headed, if we're open to that. So I would just keep that in mind. Just because something's new doesn't mean it's bad. It kind of reminds me of one thing that's flashing is it reminds me of like Pokemon. And I'm not like super into Pokemon or anything. I used to be as a kid for sure. But one theory I remember just popped up, and I remember reading about, was like a lot of people don't like the newer Pokemon just because they're not familiar and they don't have the good old nostalgic tingles of the ones from like 20 years ago or whatever. And that was a theory of like why people don't like them as much. Some of them probably do, like, I don't know. But all that aside, that it's kind of like a similar, maybe that's an example or an analogy I could use for what I'm talking about with like new things in life. It's like, but maybe in 20 years those would be the favorites, you know. Or it kind of reminds me of like different movies where I don't need to over explain this, but there was like I can't remember what the movie was because I never watched it, and I don't think I'm really interested in it either. It was like I think it was like Morbius or something. And I just remember seeing all these posts, like people didn't like it and it didn't do well, but then like everyone wanted it to come back like after a few years, and like wanted it to re-release in theaters so they could watch it or do better. It was really weird. And I don't really know. I wasn't super inundated in like in that experience. I don't know that movie or that character or anything, but I don't know. I would just not poo-poo the new. So let's close that and move on to my sign fell. That's fine. Let's move on to the fire signs, sun, moon, or rising. And I also want to say hello to everybody who just tuned in, and want to give a shout out to the moderators because I saw Destiny here, who is great and helps out. And you also should send her lots of love. And if China Moon Girl or Rockin' Robin or anyone else is here, hey, Andy Pandy Pie, great to see you. Brandon, that one was for you. Don't undervalue you and what you offer. Thank you, Marina. That means a lot, and I appreciate it. I can see it. A water break. So thank you to the mods. I'm going to haphazardly drink my coffee. I think I need like a live sippy cup. Not really, but I'm joking. But I have my computer right here, and I have this like huge open mouth like coffee. And I definitely did think that through, and I have that idea beforehand, but I didn't have time to change it, so it's fine. But we need like an official like live sippy cup. That's a joke. But let's move to the fire signs, sun, moon, or rising. How are you doing? I've got channel messages here, and my spirit guides, the angels, and source will bring through any additional information that's for your eyes good as I go through this. I need more water for a second. And we did have a theme. I didn't have a theme for the collective because it just wasn't happening, and I didn't want to force it. But the theme is just like what would help you the most right now, or what would help you out right now. So I have some channel messages on that, and then I have other channel messages that came through in addition to that are just, what do you need to hear right now, or what does source want to tell you, and things like that. So as far as like what I was getting is what would help you right now, and I feel like there's more that's going to come through, because this really interesting glowing owl is showing up first and foremost. And this owl is kind of hooting, and he's saying, speak your truth, is the first thing that's showing up. I feel like that's for everybody. And I've been saying that like every live for the past 2 months or 3 months, but whatever. That's one thing he's talking about first and foremost. He's also talking about a glow up with the glowing owl. I feel like that's something that's coming in for you guys, but it's in the future. Like, it could even be like next year is something I'm hearing, interestingly enough. But I don't know. That was just a quick message coming through. The first thing that came through ahead of time was literally ease. And you might be like, how does ease help me right now? But the message was to ask for ease. And sometimes we don't realize things can be easier. So one of the recommendations is take a look at how you can make your life easier right now. The other thing you can do is manifest ease in your life, like either through a mantra or just through asking and manifesting for ease. I'll tell you, I want to say like a mantra that I've been using, but they don't want me to say it. So I'm gonna honor that and heed that and just say any intention you can set for life to be easier, for ease to show up for you, I would do that. And I'll just tell you about the mantra anyways, because I don't know, I feel called to, even though there's a bit of like there feels like a bit of a push-pull with it, but I'll say it. And it's literally directly from Access Consciousness, and it's this mantra that they say, all of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. And what they talk about is saying that 10 times in the morning, 10 times in the evening. And I have been doing that. And I definitely notice, like, when I say it, like, the energy starts to shift around me. Like, I feel this kind of like cool energy, a good energy. And I definitely notice more ease showing up for me as well, and like different things shifting. So could be a recommendation if you need one. And maybe you want to look that up and just see what they have to say about it as well. Just if you just look up all of life comes in with ease and joy and glory, Access Consciousness on YouTube, something will show up. And I would look out for like either probably Dr. Dane here or Gary Douglas are the main ones that I would look at for that if you feel called to it. And if not, no worries. The next thing that came through for you that could be helpful, I know these sound a bit simple, but also complex. Joy. They were just like, don't force it, but take a second to ask yourself, like, how can you be in joy? Like, how can you bring that frequency in? And one of the stories that's popping in it's from Lee Harris, who's a channeler that I'll listen to. And I don't know why I'm just popping into all these different people that I've listened to, but I am. And one thing he talked about, like, the story is popping in where in his work, like, his work was kind of growing at this time period he was talking about, and he kind of took this quote and he wrote down, like, am I in joy right now? Or he had it printed or something, and he like hung it up in his workroom. I think he said it was above the door or something. Not that matters. And he would kind of like look at it, every now and again. It would be this reminder, like, am I in joy right now with what I'm doing, with the work I'm doing, with my life right now? And like, if not, he's like, well, there's no purpose in me doing it. Was one thing he said, because there's no purpose of me doing it if I'm not enjoy doing this work. But the other thing in that is, like, I feel like I'm not saying you need to do that, but excuse me. It's reminding me of that, where it's like, how can you be in joy in your life? And there's so many good things that come about from having that frequency and working towards that. And there's a lot we could talk about with joy and how to create more joy in your life. So what would be highest best for me to get to here? And they're kind of indicating you already get it. So you probably already get it and where I'm going and what I'm saying with this. But anyway, you can create joy, or you can manifest that. You can write that down. You can do something you enjoy every day. And that's even like a recommendation I don't even I'm not even a practitioner of Access Consciousness. I don't know why I talk about it so much. But in case it's helpful, like, that's one thing they recommend for like how to bring more money into your life is like being in joy. And one of their quotes is like, money follows joy. And it's like, how can you like do something you enjoy every day, that you're enjoy with every day, to start bringing that in, even if it's just like an hour, or something. So I don't know. That's just another thing that was coming in that could help you guys out right now. And the other thing that I've heard that they want me to skip, sorry. Next message here, talking things out. So if you're like in worry about like a situation or a relationship, try to talk it out instead of worry, if that makes sense. Like, especially if it's in a specific situation, like, is there a way you can like talk with that person instead of worrying about it? Because they were kind of indicating some of you might be overly worried about something. So if you find yourself overly worried about something, like, try to talk it out. So what else would be highest and best for you as far as like what would help you out the most, or what you could do to help yourself out the most? They're going back to this owl that was showing up here. And one of the things that they're just kind of bringing in as a message, they're showing me the great horned owl. If you're not familiar, there's kind of this whole spiel. And I've met multiple people in my life who were like really afraid of this. Well, two. Sorry, I met two people in my life who were really afraid of this, where it was like the great horned owl would be like to them a symbol of like death, or someone was going to die. And then they'd be like super freaked out about it. But that wasn't the case, at least for like, I mean, I don't think someone, yeah, that wasn't the case, is something I'd say first and foremost. And one of the things they're talking about is like not being afraid of like almost like superstitions, or like fear-based beliefs, or like those fear-based things, not spiritual people, fear-based things people talk about sometimes regarding spirituality or superstition. I'm kind of getting this no need to worry message, where it's like maybe you're overthinking something about that, or maybe some of you thought you saw this like negative sign, and I'm getting it's not necessarily a big deal. And sometimes, we do get warnings or like heads up about the future or something like that. And I can think back of examples in my life, or maybe the universe is trying to help us avoid something, but I don't feel like that's what this is in this instance. So in case you need to hear that, that's something coming through right now. There's also a little bit more here. So let's see here. The other thing with this owl is like, I need to stay with the visual just a second longer, because I don't feel like I have the message. I have a visual. So give me 1 second till I get the message fully for that. Is good. Kind of the last thing they're showing me for this topic is this concept of like just sitting with old beliefs and dispelling them, because they were showing it as like worms. And I don't like bringing this into it because it's kind of gross, but like intestinal worms, or not that you literally have that, hopefully. It's more of a metaphor for like beliefs, where it's like, because this owl was kind of sitting with itself, and it's like in its like lower intestines, like it had these like worms, but it just needed to like sit with it and like release it. So that could be something else you consider doing right now. And it's just time to release a lot of that, is what I'm getting. So if you know what I'm talking about, let's move on. So the other channel messages for the fire signs that came through, this is more just like, what do you need to hear? What came through for you? I just kind of left it up to source on spirit guides and true angels of the true highest light on this one. And the message was, 1, life improvement. Just life improvement, gradual improvement for the fire signs. Don't worry about the shoe dropping. So really funny synchronicity, kind of. I already knew about this, but my granddad's, he passed away, like my grandpa, he passed away like years ago, but his girlfriend had just passed away recently. I'd already seen it on Facebook, but I just talked about the great horned owl, and then like I just got a text that she had passed away, which is interesting. Which seems, I don't know, seems contradictory to the message they were bringing through, but for you guys, no need to worry is what I'm getting. And it's not, I wasn't really close with her or anything, but I thought that was really interesting. Next message here. So, gradual improvement for the fire signs. Don't worry about the shoe dropping. So, just kind of, they're just showing me this like gradual improvement coming in for you guys. And I think sometimes when things take a long time or are slow, like we don't see how things are improving or we don't realize it. But then you look back a year later and you're like, wow, things are a lot better than they were like 2 years ago. Like I'm in a completely different place. And it's kind of like, when you're watching a baby grow, it's like yeah, you realize they're growing, you realize they're bigger, but you don't realize like how much bigger they got and how quickly, because you're there with them the whole time. So that's something they're showing me. It kind of also reminds me of like Reiki sessions. That's something they talk about as sometimes clients, when they're receiving Reiki sessions, they don't, it's like people will realize when things are bad or get worse, but they don't always totally realize when things get better and improve for them. It's like the client can be getting sessions and things overall get better. But then like, so what they were talking about, this is what happened when I learned Reiki, was they were talking about, to have like client intake forms, because the clients might indicate things are really poor the first time they come in, but after a few sessions they come in and things are like a lot better, and then you have that to refer back to or help them refer back to, like, remember how this was going like badly and this was badly and how this all improved. So that was something they wanted to, I don't know, that was another reminder I was getting as I was talking about this. The next thing, there was just a message this channel threw ahead of time. They gave me the word darkness. They said, you may be afraid of like darkness or of like more darkness coming. And like, you do not need to fear. Any unknowns in your life will be resolved. Because they kept showing me this, they're redirecting me a little bit. So 1 second here. Sometimes we think we're headed into darkness in our life, whether it's unknown or we just think things are going to go dark, but they're really not. And they are giving me a quote like it's always darkest before the dawn, which I find interesting as well. So give me 1 second to sit with this and see what they want me to say here. They're just saying you're not headed towards darkness. So if you are worried about that, I wouldn't worry too much about that, is something I'm getting. And sometimes we think we're headed towards darkness, but they just keep showing you headed towards this, like, it looks like you're heading towards blackness. But I just feel like you don't have anything to worry about. It's kind of like maybe you head towards darkness and then the dawn comes right away and it's the light. So I don't know. Next message here. I would just not force yourself to do more than you can handle right now for the fire signs. I think sometimes we're at our limit a little bit and we're kind of starting to redline and maybe we don't realize it and we think we can handle a little bit more, but it's like the straw that breaks the camel's back. So I would take stock of what you're doing, and if you're like going to add anything more to your plate, just ask like, can I really handle this right now? Or can I really take this on right now? I feel like for a lot of you, the answer is like, maybe not. So just keep that in mind. Next message here. If they just said, if you're doing your best right now, you're doing okay, not to worry. I'm not sure what that's in reference to. It was just, those were just the words that came through. So if you're doing your best in life, you're doing okay. Don't worry. And they're also just giving the message like you are enough. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. I don't really feel like anything is going to collapse for you guys. If you're worried about that, I'm just hearing the phrase, nothing is going to collapse, which is, it seems a little bit just out of the blue, but it probably makes sense for you. Next message here. If you are in any type of jams right now, God has a plan to get you out of jams. And sometimes we feel like we're stuck forever, but we're really not, is something I'm getting as well. And the visual I'm getting is like, those little Fisher-Price toy cars, they're like orange with like the yellow roof. At least they had them in the 90s and maybe the 80s when I was a kid. And they're showing like a kid who's like stuck in the little Fisher-Price toy car. Like, cause you'd like get in there and it'd be like the Flintstones. You have like your little feet on the ground. You can kind of like walk around and stuff and drive your car. And the kid like gets stuck and like he instantly starts like crying. He's like, I'm stuck forever. But it's almost like the parents are like laughing because it just takes like 2 seconds and a small adjustment and he's out of the car. So, or her or they, but next message here. They just, on top of the message about gradual improvements, they just blatantly gave me the words, vast improvements are on the way. I I guess the correction I'm getting, or the clarification I'm getting, is like things might have been gradually improving, but they might just like spike in improvements. They're showing me that, you know, those great mesas, I think they're in Arizona, if I'm not mistaken. It's just, they're just showing this like trajectory where it's like, it starts to go up and it's like whoop, and it goes straight up. And then, you know, I'm not saying you're going to plateau after that, but that was just what they were showing me as like a symbol along with that message. There was another piece of advice for the fire signs, and they gave me the word dreams. They just said, once you realize, and by realize, it's like attain, like one of your dreams, just like one dream, you can realize them all. So the message was to focus on what's the most realistic dream you can make happen today or move towards today, like whether it's the smallest one or the one that seems like it's right there. And then as you achieve that, the stairway to the next dream shows up. And sometimes it's like a domino effect, or it's about building momentum, I guess you could say. And as you achieve one dream, it's like it's easier to achieve the next one, or you see how it's possible, so you have more motivation. It's easier to get up in the morning and get to work, or things like that. And I'm getting that's coming in for you if you like just achieving one small dream and then it's just like boom, boom, boom. Or it's like the stairway appears, it's easier to move to the next one. And I feel like sometimes we feel helpless until we don't. Like we feel helpless until we're not, is like a weird message, because it's like, if you never achieved anything, it can be like, how do I achieve things? But it's like, once you start achieving things, it's like, oh, I'm familiar with this energy. I know how to make this happen. It's like, you can kind of get going and get the bowling ball rolling to knock down all the pins, metaphorically, to achieve your dreams. I feel like you're on a good track for the most part for the fire signs here. I'm also like getting an energy, or just like the visual or a message for a few of you. Like maybe there's some like stragglers or some like strays in that group who like feel like they're on a completely different trajectory, and they're like, what do you mean things are okay, or something like that. I feel like you're gonna get there. You know, not all of us are on the exact same track or on the exact same journey, and life might be a little bit boring if we all were, is something I kind of want to say. But where are we going with this? What's the message that they want me to say for you guys here? If you feel like you're not on a good track, I feel like there are a lot of corrections coming in to bring you onto a good track in the not so distant future. I do feel like you're doing better than you think you are, all of you, for the fire signs. And this is for some of you, not all of you. They're showing this visual of like you, but like they're, you know how cartoons, what's the best way to explain this? They're showing this engine, excuse me, my nose is starting to run and I don't have tissues. So I might take a quick 2-second break after the fire signs here to get a tissue. But they're showing like this engine, and it's almost like one of the cylinders is like busted, or it's like this engine isn't running at full capacity, or it's like, maybe you have like a go-kart engine, but you need a bigger engine, like you need a Ferrari engine or something. And I feel like one thing the universe is doing for you is like, anywhere you're not firing on all cylinders, and I don't mean that as like a mental capacity message, it's literally like either energetically or just like how you're moving, like if you feel like you're hobbling through life, maybe is a better way to say it. I feel like one thing that's happening is someone or something's coming in to help repair your engine or upgrade your engine or whatever you need. Because that might be like the one thing that's holding you back for some of you. It's like you don't feel like you're firing on all cylinders. I feel like something's coming in to correct that and help you out with that. And if that's you, I don't think this is for all of you, but if that one in particular is for you, I feel like you might need some rest, is one of the messages I'm getting for you as well. Just to help with that, and to like really take a second and sit with that, instead of maybe always trying to hobble along without fixing it. But I feel like this is for not a lot of you. This is like few and far between as far as the people it's for. But I'm going to close it there, because I'm getting to close it there. I hope that made sense and was helpful and resonated, of course, and did whatever was for the highest good for it to do. But we're going to move on to the earth signs. And was there anything I'm missing for the fire signs before we part ways here? I don't know. I'm hearing you guys are great. I feel like things are going to be good. And if things are not good right now, that's okay. I would take a second and rest and see what you need to change, honestly, because I feel like those course corrections are coming in for you. And if you feel like you're fighting against the flow, I would stop fighting against the flow and just pay attention to where the universe is trying to direct you, because it's like you don't need to fight an uphill battle all the time for whoever that's for. So I'm going to take a quick water second. Oh, thanks, the authentic mystic. Yes, I'm going to grab a tissue really quickly and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. How's it going? Okay. Excuse me. Back into channel mode, I guess. I'm gonna drink more water. Drink my giant coffee mug thing. Okay, Earth signs, sun, moon, and rising. So if you have an Earth sign, sun, moon, or rising, if you're here live, of course, it's for you when you see it now. If you're here watching on YouTube, it's for you whenever you're seeing it then, which I guess is now for you now. But I've got channel messages here ahead of time, and my spirit guides, the angels, and source will bring through any additional information that's for your highest good as I go through these. And so the theme, one of the themes that came through is what would help you the most right now. I know we kind of left off with this message a little bit for a few, like a handful of the fire signs, but one of the main things that really came through for the earth signs was like rest. They were like, seriously, stop forcing yourself to do things. Don't force yourself to do anything. I feel like I need to add a caveat. It's like, yeah, if you have responsibilities, if you have a job, if you have to, pay bills, like, yes, you got to take care of business probably, unless you have vacation time stacking up and you've been meaning to take a rest, like take a rest, or just in your spare time, do things that are more restful. I just feel like you need it. And, like, it might seem dumb is like the words I'm hearing. It might seem like you don't want to do it. It might seem like you have so much to do, and they're just saying, trust us, just rest, just try it. Like, take a day, take a Saturday or a day off or something to rest and just see how you feel. I just feel like that's what you need for most of you, or all of you, actually. They're correcting me, so keep that in mind. The other message that came through, there's more on rest here. I think sometimes we don't realize how much energy we burn. I know I say I think. That's literally just the words I heard. I'm I'm reciting my script that they're showing me. Not well, kind of literally sometimes, but just, I don't know. I think that sometimes we don't realize how much energy we've burned through, or we don't realize what we've been through. And for some reason, they're using this really weird analogy. It's from the book. I don't like the analogy, but it's kind of what they're showing me. It's from the book, like Aragon, or the Aragon series, sorry. And there was this part in the book towards the end, and something happened towards the end of the books, where I think that author, because I think he started writing it when he was like 16, but then he got like older as like the books got drawn out, and so I think they like got more like violent and just like a little bit darker sometimes. But I don't know why I'm saying that. Part of the last book, like one thing that would happen was like the soldiers that were on like the opposing side of the protagonists, something happened where it's like they couldn't feel anything, or like the antagonist used some magic to make his soldiers not feel anything. So like when they'd go into battle, it's like, yeah, you could like injure them, but then they just get back up and keep going because they couldn't feel anything. And they were kind of, I'm not saying that to you literally, and I'm going to ask that if anything weird energetically showed up for you as I was saying that, I'm going to ask that to leave now. Thank you. But, and they're saying that wasn't that bad. So, but they were kind of showing you like dragging yourself along almost. like with your arms, and it's just like maybe you just haven't realized what you've been through, or you just haven't put two and two together, like you need rest, or like you've been through something you need to recover from, maybe for some of you, whether it's emotional or it's something that happened in life, or it's just you've been exerting a lot of energy, and maybe hopefully you're not burnt out, but I'm kind of getting those words as well. So it's like maybe take a second to self-reflect and like sit with it and look at it and like be honest with yourself and be like, how much like do I need rest? Like, would it be good to like take care of myself here instead of dragging myself forward? Or what do I need to be rested and like ready to go? And I remember one time, this was a personal story from like earlier this year, I want to say. I remember like one time, I think I had to like not do one of these lives because I was feeling, I just couldn't do it. I was really tired. I was really exhausted. And like a bunch of different people, like unrelated to each other, sent me this like the 7 types of rest thing. It was like a book by, I think her last name was Brown. It was some woman wrote this book about the 7 types of rest. And it was like someone that was like, I think it was Prince Priestess, which, hi, if you're here, Prince Priestess is really cool. I think like sent it to me unprompted. And then the person I was dating sent it to me completely unrelated to it, period. I don't know why they sent it to me. It wasn't because of that. And like, maybe that's something you could look into as well, in case that's helpful for you or helps you out. But I don't need to talk for 10 minutes about rest, probably. So we're going to move to the next message here. The next thing was about trusting yourself and like trusting your decisions. But, you know, one thing is like, if you're intuitive, I feel like it's about trusting your intuition as well, or your channeled messages, or even yourself about life. But you can trust yourself. Other people might try to throw you off. So you have to trust yourself. You are the best person to trust, is something I'm getting. So I would trust yourself first and foremost, earth signs. And of course, there's trustworthy people out there that you can trust and they won't try to throw you off. Of course, there's readers out there who are good, or channelers or whatever. But at the same time, I would trust yourself. You know your circumstances, you know yourself. And I feel like if you do channel or you do like intuitive work, I feel like you're accurate. So in some way, shape, or form, I would trust yourself. The next message here was really like, it was just this message of like, believe what is for you will come, and what you desire is possible. Know you are worthy of it is something that would help you out, just that whole spiel. And for me, the word believe is tricky, but this reading isn't necessarily just about me or my beliefs, or maybe it's not even about my beliefs at all. It's more about what is for the highest good to come through for you and what will help you, whoever's watching. So believe what is for you will come, and what you desire is possible. Any further messages on that for your highest good that would help you out with that? I just think you need to sit with it a little bit longer than you normally do. That's the message that's coming through, as far as like believing something's possible, or really knowing in your being you can do something. Because I think sometimes we're just like, yeah, I know that's possible. Yeah. Everything's possible. Anything's possible. The universe is infinite. I can have anything. But it's just like, if you dig into like your psyche, it's like there's still little jabs from people, whether it's people you dated in the past, or people you wanted to date in the past, or you know, old friends or family that are just kind of lingering a little bit, that are like, am I worthy of this? Or can I really do this? And I'd really let that go. I'd really sit with that and just take a little bit more time with it than you normally do, to kind of move those beliefs out, or just kind of, I don't mean digest things as in like make it a part of you, but I mean digest as in like moving out of your system, and like maybe taking the lesson and the blessing and removing the crap. I don't feel like I'm saying this perfectly. What I really meant is, you know what I meant. I feel like you probably know what I meant. But anything else on that before we move on here? The next thing showing up for you guys is a snake, and I just want to see what the message is for you guys regarding this snake. So it's not a bad snake. This snake is actually more about rebirth. It was the first word I was hearing on this one. part of your rebirth process is ditching the old beliefs. And in the other side of the symbolism of snake, it's ditching the things the snakes have said, like just things people have quote unquote whispered in your ear, probably not literally, but maybe, or beliefs other people had that they tried to instill in you, especially like false beliefs or false narratives, or especially like helplessness or things like that, or things that, and by beliefs I mean things that hold you back, of course, like not things that are helping you. So that's something to sit with as well. But this is part of your rebirth process, is like digesting the past and like moving it out of your system once and for all. Because it's like, I don't always like the term. Okay, never mind. Hold up. Because it's like they're showing this snake digesting something, and there's like, they're giving me something about like a blockage to the digestion. It's like he's trying to hold on to something, or like hold on to something that's not there, or like hold on to a false belief. But it's like the poop has to pass out of the system. Like you can't, it's not a good idea to hold on to the poop. Like you've already gotten, you know, what you need from it. You're just supposed to extract your nutrients and leave it behind in the past. But it's like the snake is not letting it pass, and that's what you guys need to do, is like let this pass. And how do you do this? I feel like I already said it. Sitting with it a bit longer than you normally would, or I'm not a big, I don't know about hypnosis personally. I'm sure there's some good hypnotherapists out there. But any type of belief rewiring is going to be good, whether it's mantras or something. Before I beat that horse to death, let's move on to the next message here. They are showing me selenite and like selenite logs. I feel like one thing that could help you is just clearing your energy, because they're showing someone sitting in between like 3 massive selenite logs, or like normal size selenite logs, you know, and just doing some type of ritual or mantra to like clear their energies, and like doing that every day. I feel like that would be beneficial as well. But let's move on. The last thing about what would be helpful for you was just, they showed me a UFO. They said, don't force yourself to be like others. It's okay to be you. And that would help everyone is something I'm getting. And I feel like it's tempting to like entrain to how other people are, because maybe they're successful or they do something you want to do. But maybe you have a better way of doing things. They also want me to talk about this other thing that could be helpful for you. And it's this concept of, I've been meaning to like make a TikTok on it forever, and it's never felt quite right to do it, or I never remember to do it. And it's this concept of like, there's a couple things I want to say, so bear with me. One thing was, I'm kind of sort of borrowing from Access Consciousness again, because one thing they'll talk about, and it's more just this phrase, it's not like a specific tool necessarily for this, I think, where it's just like, you know, sometimes like there's a lot of things that are out there that are like quote unquote common knowledge, or the commonly taught way of doing things that just might not work for everybody. Like they just don't work for you. Like for some people it's like setting goals. For other people it's like a daily planner. It's like that doesn't work, you know. Or maybe it's like advice on relationships, and like you try to do the common advice and it never works. And it's kind of reminding me of that a little bit. Like it's okay to like do your thing and be yourself and do what works for you, whatever that is, or like figure that out and find that out, instead of trying the same rehash advice that never works for you, is one thing you could take away from this. Because they're kind of showing me that. And my personal experience with that was, there are so many instances where if I were to just do, even like before I got into this work, what I felt to do in the moment, or felt what I felt called to do in the moment, one of my big lessons in like my late teens and early 20s was how badly things would go if I just, and it's one thing if it's like nowadays, like channeled advice that is specifically channeled for me, or like in a reading I watch and I'm guided to take it and my guides tell me to take it, it's like, that's different. But when it was like dating advice from like a book, even if it like seemed like a good book and people would swear to the nines that this made their relationships better and helped them with dating, I would like, one of my lessons was I would take things from that book and like do them. But the issue was I wasn't being myself in like what that moment needed and like what that moment called for. I was just copy and pasting from this book from someone who with this information that maybe was out of context or just maybe wasn't right for me. And it would go terribly. It would just blow up. And that was in like relationships. There was also in just like trying to make things happen in like business. Because I was interested in business since I was like 19. I was trying different things in business for like a long time. And one of the issues is like the copy paste methods like you'll find don't always apply in all the different contexts. Like they don't work. But like what I would find was like in relationships, if I just was myself and I was just doing what I felt called to do in the moment with like the texts I was sending or the things I was doing, it would just like went way so much better than if I was trying to do like a dating coach advice. Or the worst thing you can do is listen to a pickup artist, in my experience or opinion. And it's not like I don't know, but because I feel like I'm tripping myself up. In my early 20s, like very early, like 20 years old, I found like if I was just myself, it would go pretty well, like with like women or, you know, things like that. But the second I started listening to other people, like dating coaches or anything like that, it bombed, and it bombed for years. And you don't need to hear about my personal life that much, but it tanked. But the advice that saved me from that, if I don't know why I'm in the story, was like literally just a combination of advice that led me to realize, oh, just don't be, I'm going to swear for a second, don't be a dipshit. And then my dating life got better. And then I was just myself, and was at the more I uncovered that and did that, the better things kept going. So, not that you need to hear about my dating life for the past 10 years, but next message here, we're going to move on. What I was trying to get to though was don't try to be like others. It's okay to be yourself and do what you feel authentically led to do in the moment. And not just blindly follow advice if you needed to hear that. And again, I feel like the exception to that for me sort of has been intuitive or channeled information if the person providing that is legit. And what's the best way to say this? Because there were certain times where maybe the universe wanted me to listen to myself first and trust my intuition and my divine guidance over what other people were saying. And I'd say that would be the exception. Next message here. We're just going to move to additional channel messages for the earth signs. And I hope those tangents are fun and okay for you guys. We needed that, honestly. Perfect. I'm glad to hear it, Boho. So let's move to the additional channel messages. Give me 1 second here. Additional channel messages for the earth signs. So we're just, whatever was for the highest good to come through. What does source want to say? What do true angel of the true highest light want to say? What do the spirit guides for the highest good want to say? So the first thing they showed me, and this one was a weird one. There's a lot more birthing in your world than you realize right now. The thing they showed me is like a visual was like, okay, I keep wanting to say this. They don't want me to say it, so I'm going to trust that. But anything else on that here? I think sometimes we just don't expect how much is birthing or is going to birth, and we think things are going to stay the same, but I feel like something's going to like pop open, and you're like, like an egg hatches or for the highest good, or like, you know, a seed sprouts from the ground, and you're like, but it's like a pop. It's like sudden. It's like popcorn. And then like, you're just like, okay. And then it's like something else was like, pop, and you're like, but then I feel like all at once, it's like a wave of like change, or like things birthing is like, pop, 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 you know, like things just like, whoop, kind of happen. And maybe it's a little bit slower than that, but I think what I feel like is you don't realize how your world is going to change and what's birthing for you. And sometimes the birthing periods are long and the gestation period is long. And it's just like a long period of like, maybe it seems a bit more barren. They're kind of showing me like a pregnancy, like it takes 9 months, you know? But then all of a sudden, like there's this baby, you're like, just kind of pops right out. Well, not, that's a joke. I know it doesn't always work that way, but, that's what I'm kind of seeing and getting for you guys there, I suppose. But I feel like there's like a mountain of new that kind of like pops in, but they're showing like as this popcorn popping happens of things birthing, it just kind of like grows into like this mountain of things birthing into reality. So I'd say, and I'm getting the words all new. I feel like that's where you're headed. I know that came through in the collective, but you're part of the collective. So next message here was they showed me a native like these natives, like native people, like with spears running through the woods. It was a very vivid visual. One of the messages, like sometimes there are like primal instincts in our life that kind of need to go, or we need to listen to our higher judgment, not our base instincts. And so like the base instincts or the primal instincts based on survival that don't serve us in the modern day are the example they're giving, or the message they're giving. Like, pay attention to where you are in survival mode and like try to heal that because it's not serving you. Things are actually okay is the message. So sometimes, we have our spear, we're ready to slay the tiger, but there's no tiger. You're actually in a business suit. You're in a business meeting. There's no threats. And that is the message. It's like, you don't need to go stabbing people out of safety. Metaphorically, it's like, do your best to kind of heal yourself out of survival mode if you feel like you're in that. And you can be gentle on yourself regarding that. I think things happen that trigger that, or, there's that theory. And what I get intuitively as a channel message is it kind of works like this, but not really. Where it's like there's this theory where there's like the reptilian brain, and then the mammalian brain developed over that, and then the neocortex developed over that. It's a bit more cohesive than we realize is what I'm getting. It's not quite so separated, and it wouldn't work if it was, is the message I get as the intuitive correction to that theory. It's a bit more interwoven, and it's evolving, and of course every animal has those base instincts to survive, but human society doesn't necessarily reward that, and I feel like in some ways we're evolving out of that, or evolving beyond that, or developing ways to cope with that in modern day that speak to where we're going as a society, or as a species, I guess, as humans or humanoids or whatever we are. And right now I try not to listen to those base instincts more than is warranted. As I said, try to take the higher road or use your higher judgments, because you might feel like you're in danger, but I feel like things are okay. That wasn't the best way to say that, so is there a better way to tie that up? I'm kind of getting this message, like, if you're always in that base survival state, or always like in that base instinct, something might need to be healed is kind of what I'm getting. The next message here is like, you are being redirected to what's for you. So if you find yourself trying to force something and it's just like not working, no matter what you do, it just never works, maybe consider doing something else. Because I just feel like that was one of the things coming through, was like, stop trying to force something that's not for you. I feel like it's about work, or it's about a position at work. And they said, you will know it's not for you because it will just never work. Like, it just doesn't work out. So I feel like that's... And they're showing this dragon, and there's like this, it's more like a source or a spirit guide, and it's like kind of redirecting a toddler, or like in some ways it reminds me of herding cats. It's like sometimes the cat wants nothing but to do the one thing you don't want it to do, and it's just like, you're like, no, and you pick up the cat and you put it over here, and it kind of like walks over here like, no, and you pick up the cat, and it's kind of like that, but with like a toddler. It's like, no, over here. I would listen to that if you feel like that keeps happening. I feel like the universe is going to become more blunt with it if you don't listen. So there might just be certain things that aren't for you. You keep trying to force them to happen. Stop that, I guess. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, maybe sit with it, or just keep living your life and see as that shows up, like, if something just keeps not working, like, maybe try something else or a different direction. There was like a weird message just to love yourself, and this tiger spirit animal showed up, and what this tiger kept pointing to its paw, like it kept showing me its paw, and it was this weird message, like a tiger loves its paws as much as its heart, or something that might be deemed as a more important part of the body. And part of the message was like, stop beating up on yourself for parts of yourself. Whether it's parts of you that want, I don't know, what's the word? Whether it's part of you that wants like 18 plus things, and like people tell you shouldn't want that, or it's parts of you that people shamed you for, or something in the past, or maybe parts of you don't want to love because it's got you in trouble, is something I'm hearing. Um, I don't know if this is true about tigers physically, but as far as tiger spirit animal and what it's trying to say is like tigers love all parts of themselves equally. It has a place for all of its parts, and it's encouraging you to do the same and like love your paws as much as your heart, or love your that's just the message. Hopefully that makes sense, because it was a weird one for me, but I'll just roll with it. Next message was, I feel like we already talked about UFO, but you are meant to be different and unique. So just be you. We're just reiterating that message. And then the last thing they showed me was like a blob. They said, if your life feels like a blob, like it's misshapen, or you're not sure where you're going, or maybe you feel, hopefully you don't feel fat and lazy, but they're showing someone who feels fat and lazy. And I'm not calling you fats, and I don't think that, that's not what I'm saying. But I feel like if you feel like your life feels like a blob, and either maybe you feel like nothing's happening or something like it's going to shape up, or it's going to take a bit more form. So you might be worried about certain things falling into shape, and I'd say don't be. I feel like things are going to shape up. It's a weird message, but if things just seem misshapen or not happening, I feel like that's going to change. So the last message I have for you guys before we not part ways, move on to the air signs, is, so our good friend unicorn is showing up here. This like white unicorn is showing up. He's all magical, and if you want a different color unicorn, you can imagine a different unicorn. I don't care. But this unicorn is showing up, and it's magical and sparkling. And what's the message here? He's kind of just like staring at you. Like he shows up and he's literally just, he's like face to face with you, staring at you. And what is the message though? Give me 1 second to sit with the visual and get the full message. Fully flasked, please. What would help them out the most? It's almost like you've forgotten who you are in some way, and this universe, maybe the universe, but this unicorn is trying to like spark that alive in you again, or like get you to remember. And sometimes we lose our spark of joy, or our like zest for life, or something that's really important to us. But it's like those things are kind of inside of us all along, even if they get buried, whether it's by other people's stuff or by the world or our beliefs. This unicorn is trying to like snap you out of it. And where is this going though? So the message I'm getting is like you're going to start to remember who you are more on a deeper level, like on a soul level. And anywhere anyone's talked you out of being who you are, I feel like I've hammered this a lot this reading. Like that's going to start to heal, and you're going to start to come forward again, and you're going to be feeling safe to be yourself. And that's what this unicorn is trying to do, really, is help you remember who you are and help you feel safe in your own skin and safe to be yourself. And everything not allowing that is healing. And there's a magic path for you as you are who you're meant to be, as you are who you are. And as you're not listening to the noise or like the static of other people's beliefs or what other people want you to think, because it's almost like, who cares? Some of those people don't know what they're talking about, or maybe even a lot of them. And it's kind of time to tune into your heart and not listen to the noise and follow that magic path, go that direction that's for you, be yourself, etc., regardless of what anyone says. Beyond that here, owl is showing up for you guys as well, but it's like a stone owl. And there's certain video games where, is the example they're showing me, you'd have to get to like a certain like statue or the certain like thing to like save your game or save your progress, is what they're showing with like the stone owl. It's like almost reminding me of that. And the message for you guys is, what's going on here? I think sometimes you guys don't realize your progress is backed up by the universe, and like you think everything could like go away tomorrow or crumble. And like realistically, maybe something could happen, but it's not going to. It's like you guys are kind of backed up by the universe, and I think maybe sometimes you guys are afraid of something crumbling or something going backwards, but I don't feel like that's happening. feel like your progress is saved, whether that's self-development or it's business or something else. But that's it. We're going to close the reading there. So I hope that was helpful and made sense and did whatever was for the highest good for it to do. I feel like I'm taking longer on these readings than I normally do. But we're going to move to the air signs next here. I'm going to take take a second to drink water. I'm going to drink this coffee. So air signs, sun, moon, or rising. Let me take 20 seconds to drink different drinks. One thing I did realize, never mind, they don't want me to talk about it. So if you have an air sign, sun, moon, or rising, it's for you when you see it. And give me 1 second here. So, okay, air signs, sun, moon, or rising, it's for you when you see it. I've got channel messages here I'll be reading through, and my spirit guides, the angels, and source will bring through any additional information that's for your eyes good as I go through these. And so one of the themes is what would help you the most right now. And some of these might seem a bit simple, but we'll see if they bring anything else in addition to these as I go through these. One thing that's coming through first and foremost, kind of similar to the last, I think the earth signs, or maybe it was the fire signs, but it's like shedding your skin and not clinging to like the past or even the past you or like things you wanted in the past. Like it's okay to evolve your tastes and who you are. So I would keep that in mind. But the first thing that came through ahead of time was trusting you and your choices. I think sometimes we second guess ourselves, especially regarding major decisions, or we second guess ourselves if things don't go exactly our way perfectly the second we made a choice. But they're kind of saying like, hey, hang in there a little bit. Like, trust yourself in your decisions and your choices is what I'm getting. Because I don't feel like you're messing up is one thing I want to get first and foremost in case you're worried about that. The other thing was they just showed me exercise. So if you need exercise, some of you are probably already on the ball, but others of you like exercise would be good, being more active physically. But they also showed this message of like turning on the jets in life and like moving forward a bit more or making an effort to move forward and more. If you have an earth and an air sign and you're confused by like the move forward and the rest messages, which for some reason that dichotomy seems to show up in readings an interesting amount. So how does it get any better than that is my first question of the universe. But beyond that, as far as the explanation on like how you can work with both of those in dichotomy, I feel like we can take time to rest and move forward. Like we can take an extra hour a day to not force ourselves to do things, and we can like move forward sometimes. So I would just go with what you feel you need to do in the moment regarding those, if you feel like those are conflicting pieces of advice. But I feel like you're going to be called to move forward soon, most of you. And that's what I'm hearing in addition to that. Next thing that could help you, if you are someone who needs to come out of your shell, I'm not sure if this will be all of you, but it was kind of a combination of messages. One, they showed me a sea turtle and it was about coming out of your shell. The other thing about that was like coming out of your shell as in like trying new things and not being stuck in old ways and like trying something different was another one of the messages that came through. Sometimes we get stuck in life and it's not like we're stuck. It's like we just keep doing the same things. Like we're in the same pattern. We're in the same routine. We're wearing a rut into the earth by, not literally, but by just taking the same path over and over again. And it might be time to bust out of that if you feel like that's you and just try something a little bit different than either the same old, or anywhere you're just doing the things the same way over and over again. And it's, excuse me again, getting boring. I would try new things regarding that. It could even be regarding success. Like you're trying the same thing over and over again and it's not working. Get out of your shell a little bit and try something different, or maybe put yourself out there in a different way, or I hesitate to say this one, maybe a grander way. I don't feel like that's it though. I don't feel like that's the right message, so I apologize, but I would try something different. Next message, they showed me, this is an interesting one, and I want to make sure they want me to say this, and I might just try to bring through something else if they don't. They're saying to say it and then they'll explain it. So of all things liger came up, which, you know, is like the crossbreed between a tiger and a lion. I think Napoleon Dynamite's the movie that made that one famous. But they showed this liger like decombining. And so what does that mean? I mean, usually ligers aren't like healthy. Like tigers and lions aren't typically supposed to mate and create ligers. It's not always like a good idea. And so the words that I was getting with liger were and decombining, because they showed this liger decombining back into a tiger and a lion. I know that's not how it works. I know it's not Animorphs or it's not Transformers or whatever. I know you can't really do that in real life, but it's, I don't know. The message was like going separate paths, finding your own way. So anywhere you've like merged with other people in a way that's not healthy, and it could be like what's that word? Relationships that are, the word's not coming to me. You know, if you've merged with people in a way that's not healthy in a relationship, or maybe you've tied yourself to things that aren't healthy, like they're showing me like chained to a desk, like a certain job that's like not really healthy, but it's like you chained yourself to it out of survival, and maybe you're making choices you don't want to make because of it. It's kind of like a message of decombining from things you merged with in an unhealthy way that aren't serving you. I feel like it's either relationships or job, and it's either finding your own way, or there were other things that they were talking about with this were like using your voice for the highest good, finding your own voice for the highest good. So it could be a message of not like being like a parrot and not just regurgitating things left and right. I don't feel like that's the strong message with this. If I were going to sit with this and really get the full honed in, like what would help you the most message on this one. If you're doing things you don't want to be doing because of a relationship or a job, I would stop doing that. And I feel like this is somewhere where it's like it either conflicts with your values or it's crossed the bounds of like what's actually healthy. To reiterate that message again, I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself. And you probably understand what I'm talking about by now, and I don't need to keep circling this message, but hopefully that makes sense. And I know sometimes like in relationships, we have to do maybe a little bit of compromise, or maybe in jobs, like, yeah, we have to get up and go to work when we don't want to sometimes. I don't think that's what I'm talking about. I feel like it's like something that's like detrimental, or it's like, it's really something you don't want to do. So, and why am I losing my voice right now? Is that a sign for you guys? Maybe for some of you, but no. So what else would be highest message for us to get to? We're going to go to the additional messages that came through for the air signs. If anything else comes through as advice for you regarding that, we'll bring it through. But, the first thing that came through for you, in addition to that, parrot did show up, funny enough. This came through for the air signs. It's another message for the air signs, and it was just a message or a reminder to like, don't be like others, be yourself. That is going to bring you success, and you are meant to be different. And that's just coming through again as a message for you guys. And they showed me a parrot with that, and like a parrot's feather, and they showed this parrot like losing its feather, and this. So, give me 1 second here. So the next message here was redirection. So I guess this is coming through for a lot of different people today, but if your roads shift, just like trust it. If your road shifts, especially like regarding work or a job, your road is not set in stone was another message. They said things can redirect with intention, or you can redirect things with intention. And right now is like a good time to listen to what you are called to do and trust that. And I know that sounds really simple, but I think sometimes we second guess ourselves. Sometimes we don't heed the call for whatever reason. We talk ourselves out of it. But the simple advice is to do what you're called to do. Just do it, I suppose. And unless you're really confident in your intuition, that doesn't necessarily mean just like jump ship at a job before having something lined up or without a safety net. You know, I think it can be good to go think about things in a smart way, of course. But I think sometimes we just don't listen to what we're called to do, and it'd be good to actually trust what you're called to do and do it. And your road is shifting. So what's the message here? Trust how your road shifts, and don't feel like you're stuck with it either. You can shift it with direction. And I think the other message with that is sometimes we think we're stuck with certain things, like with the term destiny is, we think we're stuck with something. We think like this is just our road. And sometimes it is, but other times we have more leeway than we realize to upshift our destiny or make things better or bring something higher or better in. And I would be doing that. I'd be doing meditations to do that. I'd be manifesting better. The phrase, how does it get any better than this? Which is from Access Consciousness again, but it's like literally my understanding is, how does it get any better than this? It's like you're asking the question and the answer is the manifestation. So the universe answers by showing you how it gets better, by making it better, is one way you can approach that. But the next thing they showed me was glass and like glass shards. They also showed me a diamond, but we'll get to that. And they kind of were giving me the concept of how glass is like see-through. And if you need to hear this, air signs, they're just giving this message like you are being seen through, just be yourself. So it's like, I feel like if you're not being yourself, maybe you'll just be seen through anyways. It's like something that they were saying, so you should just be yourself. The message was as simple as that. I wasn't really getting too much else on that. And I don't think this is for all of you, but sometimes we're being sneaky, or we think we're being sneaky, but everyone sees right through us. So try not to be sneaky. And I don't know. I don't think I try to be sneaky. I don't know why I'm saying we and us, but maybe it's just a way to relay the message. But yeah, do your best not to be sneaky right now, even if you feel like it's a good thing or something like that. I'd be a bold and assertive, and just, if you need to make moves, make moves. I feel like sneaking is not helping if you're being sneaky in any way. Next message here. Okay, they want me to rewind. Give me 1 second here. And that's only for the few of you who feel like you're doing that, by the way, so don't overthink that. And we're rewinding more, so what do we need to get back to and correct here? The other thing they're talking about is like, if you feel like you have to sneak around a person, they're like, maybe you should just leave that person, is something they're kind of talking about as well. This could just be for like a very small percentage of you, by the way, but I don't know. There's just a message coming through. Then there's more on this here. And I don't think you're a bad person, by the way. I'm not trying to call anyone a bad person with this or say this in the utmost negative ways. It's just the message that's coming through. But sometimes we just don't realize that we're transparent to other people, and we don't need to be sneaking things, honestly. So I would just be yourself, and I don't know, maybe you won't have to worry about it. Next thing that came through was a diamond, and they showed this diamond as like a rough cut. Like it was still being like laser cut or carved or whatever people do to diamonds to, for wedding rings or whatever. And it was kind of just, the message was the universe is like not cutting you in a bad way, but as far as like gem cutting you into the perfect diamond for you to shine. So you guys deserve to shine, but like right now you're in like the cutting process, and like things might be a little bit rough, or maybe you feel a little bit rough around the edges. Maybe not literally, but I feel like you're in this honing process, and things are going to get better for you. Things are going to get finished with that cutting process eventually. Don't second guess that, but just know you're still in the process, and you are going to be shining is really good. They're showing me gold next and topaz as a crystal. So what's the message here for you guys regarding gold and topaz? They're showing you, I'm going to take a second to stay with it a bit longer, but right off the bat, they're showing you trying to bring things together in life that don't connect necessarily. It's like they're showing like it's like a train that's being brought together and the ends that don't connect. It's like it doesn't work. But it's like when it doesn't work, you just like smash it together like haphazardly and get angry. And I'm getting this weird message, like maybe certain things aren't meant to be brought together, whether it's people, whether it's like different parts of your life. Maybe it's like a project and you want to combine things, but they're not combining properly. It's like certain things are meant to be separate in life. So this is a weird message, but don't feel like everything needs to be connected is like the weird message I'm getting. So anything else to describe that, or any other messages for you guys here? I feel like there's a lot of gold for you in life, but it's like right now you're distracted by topaz. And what does that mean? it's like you're just, of course, topaz is like a valuable gemstone, and I mean nothing bad about the gemstone topaz, but in this visual, in this message, topaz is representing something that seems valuable, and it kind of is, but not really. Like, it doesn't really matter. And like the gold is like representing things that are like actual valuable to you and to your life. And it's kind of like right now, maybe you're ignoring the gold for topaz, or ignoring what you should be focusing on for things that don't matter. And I would be doing the opposite, where, what's the best piece of advice for you on this one? It's like there's things that really matter to you that you're not paying attention to. And I would pay attention to those things and like leave the topaz alone, because you can have both. I don't feel like you're limited in this scenario, but you can't have so much topaz that you don't have room for the gold. And like, what would topaz symbolize more specifically, just to help you guys out a bit more if you don't know what the message is talking about here? It like topaz could be like having a sports car to impress people, but it doesn't really matter. Like, topaz could also be like, I keep getting the word brownie points for whatever reason. It's like, or you know that show, excuse me, it was like, Whose Line Is It Anyways? I think it was popular in like the early 2000s or like the late 90s. It was like an improv show with like Drew Carey and all these other people. I think it was Drew Carey. And they would be like, welcome to Whose Line Is It Anyways, where the the games are made up and the points don't matter, or something like that. It's kind of like that. Like, don't focus on the points that don't matter, for yourself or others. Any other messages for you before we well, not part ways, but move to the water signs here? I feel like you guys are better than you realize at something or a lot of things. And I feel like I said this to the other signs. Maybe you beat yourself up a lot, or maybe, I don't know why worthiness is popping up so much with this reading. Maybe you don't feel like you aren't worthy of certain things, but you really are. One message to clarify is like, focus on things you actually want because you can have them. Don't just focus on the things you think you can have because it's easy or because it's low-hanging fruit per se. Like, focus on what you actually want because you can have that. And that's kind of the message, if that makes sense. Anything else for the air signs? Just to make sure I get all the messages for you guys here. They are showing me a hammer next, and you guys kind of smashing things. As far as what that means, what the message is for you guys here, I feel like it is time to take a hammer to your life, but I feel like it's a good thing. There might be certain things you're ready to do away with, and I would do away with them, is kind of a message I'm getting on that one, if that makes sense. Especially things that just aren't valuable or are just taking up space or time, and they don't belong. And maybe 20 years ago it made you happy, but it doesn't anymore, and it's time to let go of it. So keep that in mind. We're going to move to the water signs. Actually, there's one more for the air signs. I apologize. What's up with the air signs? What else do you guys need to hear? I feel like I said this already, but they're showing me the color purple. They're showing me a crown chakra. They're saying some of you guys like second guess yourselves a lot, but you don't need to. The other message here is with the purple, what's the message? I think going back to the Liger message is something they want to do really quickly. The reason they were talking about like the decombining from things that were unhealthy, or like the unmerging with things that weren't for your highest good, is like, there are things that are for your highest good, that are for you, that are healthy to merge with, or that you can bring in. But it's like you have to unmerge with those things in order to go to those things, or to bring them in, or to merge with them. So what are you merged with right now that's not healthy for you to be merged with? And what will it take to change that and merge with what's for you instead, that's healthy and for the highest good? But I'm going to end the reading there. So I hope that was helpful, air signs. And we are going to move to water after I drink water and stuff. All right. What you didn't know you got was ASMR of me drinking and taking sips of coffee and water for 4 separate times in the span of like 30 seconds or a minute or whatever. So added bonus. We're gonna go. So this is for the water sign, sun, moon, and rising, for you when you see it, of course. And of course, what would help you the most right now is one of the themes. The first thing I was getting, there's going to be multiple, there's going to be new things coming in too, was like being gentle on yourself, and like it doesn't help you to beat yourself up. So I would do that first and foremost. I feel like the other thing is you've been through a lot and you need to chill. There was also a message of like chill and stop trying to force things. There was a message that your road is opening and things are going to be okay as well. So it's like sometimes they're showing this visual of someone throwing their weight behind a door to open it. But it's like the door is already opening, and it's like you throwing your weight behind it isn't doing anything. It's like a stone door that's like attached to a mechanism, like an ancient Roman door or something. I don't know. Maybe it's like a drawbridge. I don't know why they're bringing the ancient Romans into it. It could just be a synchronicity for you, or some of you, or many of you. But it's like throwing your weight behind it doesn't do anything. So it's like you can chill and let it open, and you can just walk right through is kind of what they're showing me, especially regarding like an opportunity. So, being gentle on yourself, chill and stop trying to force things. The other things that are coming through for you, they're showing me this, like, I know this came through last week or a similar visual, but they're showing this pirate with like 2 peg legs. And this pirate keeps looking at this picture of his legs, and he's like missing his legs, his actual biological legs. But there's nothing he can do to get them back, and it's really just wasting time for him to sit there gazing at a picture missing his legs. It's not serving him and the joy and treasure that's right in front of him. And they're giving me a really weird story, and hopefully this isn't literal for you, but he like sacrificed his legs to have treasure, but now he has treasure. And there's a lot to be joyful about, even though he doesn't have his legs, and he can still live life to the fullest. He can still do all the things he could do with his legs. It's just he has wooden legs right now, and it doesn't seem to be hindering him at all. And maybe you've lost something and you're really worried about it, whether it's internally or externally or something else in your life. And you don't really need to worry about it. You have other things to be joyful about, or that you have in front of you, and you could focus on that instead. And the pirate would like never miss his legs if he focused on his joy. And I'm not recommending you sacrifice your legs or life and limb to have treasure, by the way. And I don't know why that came through. I think that's a really weird message. But maybe you feel like you've sacrificed things to have something in your life. But what else is the message here? I mean, that was the message, but beyond that, anything else on that, or anything else that would be flash good for me to ring through? I would stop worrying about the things you've lost. One, I don't feel like it's hindering you. 2, there's so much better ahead. Even if it seems important. Because I just, what else is the message here? I don't know, like, because normally like losing your legs seems like a serious thing, but I just don't feel like it is in this visual. Maybe he's like Deadpool and his legs will grow back or something, but I just feel like there's better ahead. You don't have anything to worry about like that. So stop crying over what you lost, I guess, or realize you don't need it, even if it seemed important. The other thing is like, when we lose something, the energy comes back around in another form in our lives, or in a better form, or in an updated and more evolved form. Like I've talked about this before, but I've seen this like in a lot of different ways. Like there's a spiritual teacher channeler like Lee Harris. He talks about like, when you lose something or miss something about a person or relationship, that usually shows up in a future relationship where you're like, oh, like I used to like laugh like my old friend with this person, and now I have this back in this person, but it's more evolved, it's more aligned. Like there's less weird stuff or tragedy or whatever. And what I've noticed personally is like I see that in people's like even like facial features, like yes, mannerisms, yes, like their laugh or like different, there's like signs or synchronicities about it as well, but like they'll have facial features where like for a split second from like their profile they look like XYZ childhood friend. And there are certain people it gets trippy. They look like, from different angles, they look like 10 to 12 different people I've known, and then they have this person's laugh, and it's like, whoa, okay, you're clearly meant to have shown up in my life. But moving onward, they didn't want me to get into that, so I apologize. But moving on into this messages, back into the messages for you. As far as what else would help you right now for the water sign, sun, moon, or rising, one, I would realize better as a head. I know that's, hopefully that doesn't sound lame as a message, but that would help you, I suppose. They are giving me the quote, not all that, well, the Smash Mouth song. They're singing it from the All-Star Smash Mouth song, not all that glitters is gold. Maybe that's slightly similar to the air signs, where sometimes your focus is drawn to things that glitter that aren't really that important, but I feel like you have real gold in your life. Like, you have good things, so I would treasure those good things is kind of what I'm getting, and not worry about the glitter, because you can have both. You can have the glitter that is gold, you can have things that glitter, and you can have gold. So I think it's just like not getting so preoccupied by the glitter and that you don't have what actually matters. So, and you will have what actually matters, and you do, is the message. So I'd focus on that. What else would help the water signs for the highest good right now, if anything? I would also like, they're showing you just kind of trekking. It looks like the Andean mountains, the Andes mountains. I think it's in South America, but they're showing this like trail, and you're kind of hiking up it. There's like a guide, and I don't think this is South America, but now there's camels involved, so I don't know. But you're hiking up this mountain, and one of the messages is you not giving up on like a climb you're making in your life, metaphorically, like whether it's a business you're building, or it could be a social media platform you're building, or like a dream you're trying to achieve. Like, just keep going on that climb, even if it feels like a Stairmaster and you feel like you're not getting anywhere. You actually are. Regardless of how it feels. And maybe there's like fog on these mountains, so you can't see your progress. You're putting one foot in front of the other and trusting. I would keep doing that. It's going to lead to rewards and achievements. And for some reason, at the top of this mountain is this 1-up mushroom from Super Mario, where you get an extra life or something, or it's like something that's valuable, or it's precious, or you don't get a lot of it. And it's like you get to the top of this mountain, and there's this 1-up mushroom, which is random, I know. But what's the message with all this here? Besides it being something that's kind of valuable and you don't get a lot of it, I feel like not a lot of people are willing to make this trek up this mountain to have this thing, or to like make the moves necessary, or I hesitate to say sacrifices, but maybe it involves that a little bit. But I wouldn't sacrifice your legs for it or anything, but I would be willing to. I feel like you already have, maybe, and it's like, don't give up on the journey quite yet, is what I'd say. I feel like you're going to get there and get something really valuable as a reward that not a lot of people get. And I feel like everything you lost is going to be recovered, that and then some as well. So the next thing I have for you guys, additional channel messages for the wall. There's more. Hold on. They're showing me a clam next here, but they're like the clams from SpongeBob that like would fly. Like in SpongeBob, which you are probably familiar, the clams were like birds. It's like their version of birds was clams. I don't know. It's all underwater and stuff. But what's the message here with the clams that fly, I guess, for you guys? So certain things are like far-fetched. Like if I told you like in real life a clam was going to fly, you'd probably be like, that's BS. And I think that's rightly so. Unless someone launched one out of a catapult or something. But anyways, I feel like there are certain things that they just seem unlikely, or like it's kind of like when pigs flies, but I don't feel like it's that extreme. Like, they'll actually happen, and you need to not give up on your far-fetched dreams, and maybe not even give up on certain things that seem far-fetched, because I feel like they can happen. What's the other message here? And sometimes, like, there are certain things maybe you think that can't happen, that will happen, and you need to prepare. I feel like that's for a few of you. I don't feel like that's a bad message. I think it's just like, maybe sometimes people are like, watch out for this, and you're like, yeah, I don't need to watch out for that. But then it's like, maybe you do. So I don't know, maybe that's a message for some of you, just in case. But you get it. Certain things that are far-fetched are actually going to happen or can happen. But I feel like most of this for you guys has to do with dreams or something that seems far-fetched. We're going to move on to the additional messages for the water signs, sun, moon, and rising that came through. One, they showed me I know we're on this pirate theme, and I think pirates came through last week, but whatever. This pirate ship, and this pirate was on this pirate ship, and he was like waiting, and he was like waiting for prey. He's waiting for like a ship to rob or plunder or something exciting. But he's kind of like waiting, and he's waiting, and then he falls asleep. And the thing that comes up is like he needs a job or like a different job. As then they show this pirate like getting a haircut and then getting a job in a factory or something. As far as what the message for you is don't wait for things to happen. Go out and get it. Now is the time, or soon is the time. I feel like this is especially regarding your dreams. Because sometimes we wait and we wait and we wait. This could even be about love, by the way. Like maybe we're waiting for love and we're waiting for love, we're waiting for love. But it's like maybe you actually need to make some extra moves, or you need to go out and get something, or you need to put yourself out there more. But this is your message, not to wait for things to happen, but to kind of go make them happen is one of the messages. The next message here, what's the next message they want me to get to? They show me fluff, like in a pillow, or like, you know how in like stories or in like, the main adventure, sorry, maybe adventure is important. I'll get to that in a second. The main message the thing that's come to me as an example is like, you know what, sometimes in shows, like there's like filler episodes, like it's just fluff, like nothing happens that pertains to the main storyline. Nothing, you could skip that episode and you wouldn't miss anything important. And it's kind of a message to stay away from fluff in your life. It could be about things you're spending time on is one of the examples. Like, I don't know, playing video games would be one thing. It's like, I think sometimes we need that downtime, or if it's something we enjoy, like have at it. Why not? It's okay. But if it's becoming an entire filler episode where it's like weeks on end or months on end where like that's all you do, and unless you really feel like that's what you need, that's fine. And I'm not trying to like judge you for that or say that's wrong, but if you feel like that's the fluff of your life and it's not moving you forward, it's not giving you the meat and potatoes or whatever of your experience that you really want, maybe stay away from it a bit more and try to avoid excess fluff. I just feel like it's not helping you, especially like with things that don't matter. The next, anything else on that one here? I think people might be trying to hand you fluff too and be like, here, focus on this. Here, focus on this. But it's like, it's not what you need. So I feel like an overarching theme today with these readings is focus on what's important. What else is the next message? As a side message, I would be kind to like, they're showing me the Reiki precept. Like, so in Reiki, some of you are already familiar, but there's the Reiki principles, and the 5 principles are like, just for today, I will not worry. Just for today, I will not anger. Just for today, oh my God, I'm having a memory fart. I'm so sorry. Just for today, I'll give thanks to my many blessings. Just for today, I will do my work honestly. Just for today, I'll be kind to my neighbor and every living thing is the traditional one. And they're kind of playing the be kind to my neighbor and every living thing. Where like, I would be kind to yourself, to people, to animals, just a reminder to be kind to every living thing. You know, if a spider startles you in the shower and you accidentally kill it, that's okay. It's fine. But, you know, I just maybe even go out of your way to be a little bit kinder to creatures of all kinds for some reason is coming out as a message. What else would be high so much for me to bring through for the water signs here? I feel like every sign has had a message of redirection come in, and I feel like it's been like a common theme recently. So you just might find you're being redirected a lot, even if with things you thought you were supposed to be doing or the universe wanted, and maybe at a time it did, or going that direction was important for a time. But if you're called in a new direction, heed that call. Or if you're called away from certain things, like it's okay to drop what you're doing and move a different direction. For some reason, the example that was coming through when I was saying that was, I'm not really religious at all. I'm not Christian, but I grew up Catholic, which is probably why I'm not Christian, partly. And but they showed this Bible story of like when Jesus would go up to like the disciples when he first met them and be like, drop your nets and follow me. Like, we're going on an adventure. Get in, hop on in, bestie. But it was kind of like, you know, they just showed like dropping everything and like going that direction. I don't know if I would drop everything, but I think you know what I'm talking about. Like, maybe you'll feel called to drop something that seemed important at the time, but maybe it's not really anymore, and you'll be going on some type of redirection, and that's okay, is something I'd say. They are showing me gold again for the water signs, kind of like it showed up for the air signs, but what was the message for the water signs with the gold here? I feel like you are going to be discovering gold. Like, what is gold for you in life? Or maybe people will be, instead of fluff, people will be handing you gold, or you're going to be like realizing what's important to you and just heading in that direction is something I'm getting, which is good. Anything else for you guys here? Because I don't have as much channeled down ahead of time here. Like, the other messages I had ahead of time were really short. It was like, you are worthy of success in your dreams and you are on the right road. So patience. I know you are on the right road and redirection can seem like weird messages when they come up together, but they are congruent because you can be on the right road and there's a fork, or like, and there's a bend in the road up ahead. You know, like, you're still on the right road. So keep that in mind. I feel like you're also being called to a higher path. Like, they're showing a path made of cobblestone, but maybe you're supposed to traverse a path made of silver and gold. And it seems a little bit intense, but I don't know if I like the term worship. I don't like that word at all. I don't use that word at all. I don't think it really fits with anything spiritual and connected, honestly, because, and I'm about to go on a rant, I feel like worship is almost like it separates it from you, but it's like, you know, God is you are God. You know, spirit guides, deities, angels, source, that's like your friends. That's like you come from source. Like, you're not separate from it. It doesn't make sense to worship, to me personally. I know that might be a little bit of a different perspective, but that's my perspective on it. But they were showing you on this like gold and silver like road and like almost being worshipped or something. And I feel like you're meant to be on this like higher path. Maybe it's more accolades instead of worship. I feel like I'm getting like spun around a little bit, so give me 1 second here. So if you feel like you're on a cobblestone path that's a bit plain, that's okay for now, but I feel like it would be good to evolve into that higher road where it's like you're on that road that gets accolades, or it's like 6 of Wands, like success, public victory, excellence, things like that. Or people can see you succeeding. I'd be heading that direction, whether it's social media or something else. They're showing someone like writing a book. They're showing like a book being written as well. I'm not saying each and every one of you are meant to write a book, but if you felt called to write a book, I would do that, or poetry or something along those lines. I feel like it's time to put words to paper, and it could be journaling for some of you, but I don't feel like that's it. I feel like it's like putting pen to paper and getting your ideas out there and like telling the world not telling the world what you know, but sharing what you know with the world or something like that. Because I think that could change things for people. I think you have bright ideas and like a lot of good things to say, and you just need to try to put pen to paper to make it happen. And I know that's a bit shorter. They're showing me fire next, and like this tiki fire deity thing. What's the message here? Fully flies good. I feel like if anything makes you go through trial after trial after trial after trial to like succeed or to like get something, you should walk away from it, is one of the messages. It's a little bit different than following a path and you have to kind of like work through things to achieve success or something like that. It's more just, it almost like reminds me of like a relationship where you're constantly being tested. Like, people have to test you and test you and test you and test you. Or it's just like, because it shows this person they keep coming back to this like tiki torch thing, and it's like, now for my next trial, and it's like, you're on trial 20. It's like, how many trials do you need? So if you feel like you're being tested over and over and over again, or you have to go through trial after trial after trial after trial of like this thing after the next thing after like, and then after sudden, like maybe after a second they start to repeat, you're like on trial 1 again, you're like, but they call it trial 21. You're like, what is going on? Like, just walk away from it is what I'm getting as advice. Like, go somewhere where it's easier. And that's not always the advice. I don't think we should always shy away from challenge, but for that one, if something resonates for you, we're like, oh yeah, it's that thing, I'd potentially consider walking away from it. Beyond that, I do see like a fire being lit in you and you being more on fire in life, especially if you felt like dull or stagnant or like lifeless. Because they're kind of showing that they're showing the scene from Pokemon where the main character, there's like the first Pokemon movie when I was like 7, and the main character got turned into stone and like he kind of had like the light leave his eyes or something. They were showing like that. If you feel like that was you in any way recently, your light's going to be reinvigorated. I feel like the universe is rekindling the fire, and I feel like you're meant to be on fire in this passage coming up here, or you will be soon, and that's what the universe is heading you towards. And I feel like that would also help you overcome having to go through all those like trials as well. It's like, and like walk away from it. It's just like a bit more fire, if that makes sense. So they want me to close it there. That might have been a little bit shorter than the other signs, but they're just telling me to close it there. But sometimes they have like 5 other messages as we go to close it. So anything else as we go to close this one? Just know you're on the right road. I feel like things are going to be transpiring a bit differently from now on, or like going a bit differently, maybe potentially more smoothly, which would be good. But things are not going to be the same as they were regarding your past. They're showing me like high school. Maybe it has to do with like how high school went for you or something. And it could even be about relationships in high school. Like you're afraid of repeating that, or it's always going to be that way. I don't feel like things are always going to be that way. I know some of you are in like your 80s. You're like, high school. But I don't know. For those of you who need to hear that, that's what I'm hearing. I'm closing it there. So I feel like I'm like, start to hit this like, I don't know what to call it, but this energy where I'm just like, don't worry about it. So I hope that made sense and resonated and was helpful. Too Cool Party Ghoul, I would join that team. So yeah, I don't know if it's a wall, because it's maybe it's almost like it's like what's the best way to say this? It's almost like channeling so much, maybe I get lost in it, or like that energy. I don't know if it like builds up, but it's just like, maybe it is kind of like a wall, but I'm just like hitting this space where I'm just like, oof, where am I? Like, what's going on? So they do want to do the full channel mode message. It'll be the first time for me doing that with this microphone here. I'm going to move. So hopefully, I know sometimes they like move around a bit, so we'll see how that goes. I feel like this mic has been good at like just picking up sound the way I've had it positioned, but great messages, very helpful and resonant. Perfect. I'm so glad to hear it. So they're saying I need to channel. So I'm going to take a quick second I'm almost out of water, but take that sip of water that I had left. And, excuse me, while I stretch. I might position the mic a little bit more in front of me just to get that there. And as far as what the theme is for this one, they're giving me the word light, but usually they give me a little bit more than that here. What I'm getting is it's going to be perhaps a channel on releasing the past. It might be focused more on like the root chakra or the lower 3 chakras, and it's going to be about releasing, or it's going to have to do with spurring a release. So with that, give me 1 second just to sit with this before I jump into full channel mode here. Oof. Okay, we're gonna jump right in. So I'm probably gonna cough for a bit, and then they'll laugh through me, and then they'll start talking, and you'll know what's going on. But I'm gonna step out of the way, see what my spirit guides, the angels, and source want to say. And if the name matters, the name they gave me for them is the Angelic Collective of Zorbital. I like to say it's my spirit guides, the angels, and source. So here we go. And they want me to give myself 2 seconds before we jump into it, so I apologize for the delay, but there's probably a reason. Welcome to this channeled message on this day. And yes, it will be about release, for you are ready to release so much. It is similar to a Reiki session where a being who has booked a Reiki session is ready to release a lot. They have it already ready to go in their aura. It's kind of floating, and the Reiki practitioner just needs to sweep the aura to remove the debris from their fields. And that is kind of what we will be doing with this channel. A sort of aura sweep, though perhaps not literal. You may feel like we are sweeping your aura. It is more, what are you ready to let go of that you can now let go of? Because there is a great release transpiring around this time period. Is a theme through the rest of the year is, what is the release that needs to transpire so you can quantum leap into your higher reality, so you can have the best next year that's for you, or at least the year you're meant to have, and that you're ready for what is coming in next. For there is a lot of debris, a lot of things that have been releasing over time, perhaps with these channel messages, perhaps with what you've been going through in your life, and it's time to let go of that for good, whether it's old memories, stagnant emotions, things stuck in the body you're ready to release, cellular memory, all that yada yada, that jargon, that's trash, we could say. Because you are ready for all new, and you are becoming all new. You are evolving at a rapid rate, physically, mentally, emotionally, on the human level, on the spiritual level. And you are ready for something completely different. And you might not know what that looks like. You might not realize what that looks like. And it can be scary when you evolve into something unknown. But we urge you to hang on for dear life, hold the angels' hands, hold your spirit guides' hands, and trust the process that the universe is putting you through to evolve into your next life, is what we'd like to say. Because it will be like a next life. It won't be like before. The only way it would be like before is if you are holding on to the old or the past, or the things that don't serve your highest good, the things that were stuck with you. But again, you're ready to release these things. Otherwise, they would not be metaphorically, or for some of you, literally floating in your aura, ready to be removed from your mind, from your mental realms, from your relationships, from you, from your energies. And what is the new that's coming in to replace the old? We wish to bring you that reminder. The new always comes in to replace the old. And if you get a repeat of a past lesson or circumstance, it is not the exact same thing. The energy may be similar. It may be a reminder of what you've been through before the issue releases for good. It could be you running over an issue again and again, as if with a rolling pin, to roll out the dough, roll out the knots in your energy fields that keep attracting the same circumstances to you. But you're ready to release that. You're ready for a new way that heals things quicker, brings in the new quicker, does not have you repeating the same thing over and over and over again. And part of New Earth, which has birthed, which is here, if you will allow it, you could step into it right now. And some of you are worried about this ascension train. You're worried about missing the ascension boat, is a common fear. You cannot miss the ascension boat. If you are on Earth, you are ascending. If you are open to ascending and healing and embodying your soul, embodying your highest self, you cannot miss the boat to New Earth. You are on it. You are creating it. You are a part of it. You are one with all of it. How could you miss the boat? The only ones who would have you be afraid of that are people who are misinformed, misdirected, or people who have something to gain from it. And not all of them are just trying to gain things from you with that message. Some of them believe it themselves. But we urge you to let go of that, because you are creating New Earth. Yes, Source is creating it through you, but you're a part of it. How can you miss what you are a part of? How can you miss what you are if you are all of it? The other thing we want to remind you of is the possibilities of your life and your reality and what you're creating. You can create not missing the bus. You can create that reality. Reality is craftable. You are reality. And you can't miss what's for you. Your soul signed up for an experience. It's not going to miss the boat. So we urge you to let go of the stories of missing the ascension boat for anyone worried about that. We urge you to let go of the stories of you missing your life or New Earth or anything like that. New Earth is here. You're creating it. So what would you like to create as your reality? What ease would you like to create? What path would you like to create? And sit with us for a guided visual for just a moment to help create a new reality, to help you see what we're talking about here. Imagine in front of you a path. It can be any color. It could be rainbow. It could be golden, silver, platinum, an unknown substance, an energy. And sit with the energy of your reality. And if you want to feel it, you can just, as you can get any energy from Source, ask Source for the energy of your reality, just to feel it. And feel that energy. And ask it to increase, to improve, to upshift. You can ask it to get 10 times better, 100 times better, or you can ask, what would an improved version of this feel like? And your reality should shift. And regarding the visual, your path may change color, and your intuitive visuals. You might see something up ahead at the end of your path, and this is your new reality. And it should be light, it should be more carefree, it should be connected, and you can create whatever else you'd like to see. So what would you like to see in a new reality? You could see in front of yourself in this visual a notepad or a notebook, and write down those things. Take a moment to write, and do you get it intuitively? Do you get messages? It's okay if you do, or if you don't, just write those things down. What would you like to see in a new reality? Whether it's how things work, whether it's people. And we will give you a moment to complete this exercise. But when you are done, from that notebook or whatever you wrote down on in your visuals, tear it out and put it on your path and see it absorbed by the path you are walking on. And you may feel some shifts. And see that note, that energy of what you asked for, being absorbed into that future reality ahead of you at the end of the path, or to where the path is leading. Now walk towards that new reality. And you will feel things shifting around you as you do this. The energies may shift. You may feel different. And walk forward until it is there, this new reality around you. It could look like a city, could look like a doorway you walk through and everything's different and sunny and has rainbows on the other side. It could look like something completely unknown to you, or it could just be a felt experience. And now just say thank you. I invite in the highest and best reality for me. And you may find yourself releasing as you go through this visual, this visualization, this intention, this meditation. Because in order to create the new, you must release the old sometimes. And the old reality has to crumble or be transformed. And that is a part of your energy field's clearing, those things you're ready to release, releasing. is allowing that old reality to crumble, allowing that old earth stuff to go away, as some of you might say. And some of you are not into ascension. You're just like, what is this person talking about? Or these beings? What's going on? Don't worry about that. Your reality is fine. You might have different words. You might have a different understanding. You might be in a completely different reality, and that's okay. Create what's highest and best for you. See yourself next in a forest of evergreen trees, though they can be multicolored and rainbow. And you are going to come back to your bodies following that visualization, but walk through this forest. And one thing you're going to do as you walk through this forest is thank nature. Thank the aspects of reality that make life worth living. Thank yourself and your body. Thank the old for the good. Thank every aspect of you that's helping you. And see in front of you a totem of any variety. You may also see a gift from your spirit guides. You can take that and receive that, whatever it is. But in this visual, you can touch that totem and you will be back in your bodies. So 3, 2, 1, go ahead and touch that totem. And you can open your eyes, or you can continue to keep them closed and just listen to the channel. We will wrap it up soon. We really just want to help you release the old reality that was crumbling anyways, and make it less painful. Because you are worthy of that, and life does not have to be difficult. And challenge is okay. Challenge is meant to be there if it's meant to be there. And some of you are getting your greatest lessons, your greatest life-altering, life-improving wisdoms, knowledge lessons through the greatest challenges you've had or are going through. But what will it take for future lessons to come with ease, to occur with ease, to be learned with ease? And what will it take for your future reality to be one of ease and grace, of highest reality, of highest possibilities, of the best trajectory for you? What we are trying to hand you is the key to manifesting your reality, to not being stuck the way other people want them to be, to not being stuck to what other people have been selling you reality as, when it does not have to be that way, whether it's energetic and spiritual or physical, because the possibilities are opening wide, and reality is moldable by you with intention. And that is going to help you release if you are willing to create the new. So are you willing to create reality? To create with source? To create with all that is? And mold something different? Create something different? And this is not about controlling other people. This is not about bludgeoning other people over the head with your beliefs. It's about creating the world you want to see, because you are worthy of that. You have that power. No one teaches you this, though perhaps some are starting to. And that's all we're doing. So with that, we leave you. Hopefully you have released a good amount. Some of you have a lot. Some of you it will be over time following this meditation, this channel. And we are wishing you the best regarding your reality, regarding your life. And know that if you are watching this on YouTube or a place you can rewatch it, you can return to this anytime to upshift your reality, to help release anything in the way of your creation, because you hold the key. You always have. You're simply shining a light on the fact that you hold the key create your reality and your life. And with that, we leave you. We wish you well. We are signing out. Farewell. All right. Oh, you're so welcome, Dee. You guys are so welcome. Love that. Perfect. Oh, I don't want to like speak too loudly into the mic. Whoop. I'm figuring technical difficulties. Okay. Oh, technical difficulties. Okay. You're welcome, guys. I hope that helped and did all the good things that were good for it to do. This energy is amazing. That's the idea. Well, that's one of the ideas. Awesome. I'm super glad for that verification, though. Glad to hear it. Awesome as always, but I can hardly keep my eyes open now. I'll take that as a compliment. Sounded crisp and warm and great. Perfect. You're welcome, guys. I'm so glad to hear it. Whew. Okay. So, legs were tingling during that. So cool. Thank you. You're welcome. I'm so glad, guys. I fell asleep. That's okay. I know, like, usually when you fall asleep, you got the energy you needed from the channel, because there's that energetic channel transmission that goes along with channel material. And so you still got what you needed. Sunshine. CFX and you killing it as always. Thank you, Andy Pandy Pie. I appreciate it so much. Any Reiki classes coming up? I checked, but didn't see any. So I did just, I know this is probably not going to pertain to everybody, but I just put Reiki Master up in like January, because I have a bunch of people who took Reiki 2 and I still did not put Reiki Master up, so I apologize. But I'm thinking of doing one in December and probably some other classes in January and getting a jump on that for Reiki 1 and 2. Felt like warm oatmeal cookies. I like that. That's awesome. I didn't know you taught Reiki. Yeah. Nutritious but comforting. Perfect. I love that. Yeah, I teach Reiki. I also teach another modality that I channeled was shown. I received earlier this year. Still putting, yeah. So I teach a few things. January for 1 would be great. Yeah, I think I'll just put, yeah, let's do a Reiki. I think they told me to do a Reiki 1 in January and I didn't put it up yet. So I think I will do that. Thank you. Just the meditation alone on YouTube. Loved it and want to repeat. Yeah, I'll do that. I can put the channel or just the meditation up on YouTube, and then you'll have it. Whew, for that. So they're telling me to, well, they didn't want me to say what I was about to say. I'm probably going to do guitar for a bit, like the Reiki, energy healing infused guitar. And so I'm going to grab my guitar in a second. I did want to do just like a second just to say, like, you know, I'm going to keep doing these lives and keep doing them, of course, for free, because I just will. I do also have a monthly membership I recently created, and we're going strong. I do weekly picker readings, like channel timeless picker readings. I do weekly readings, monthly, like full channel mode messages, like what we just did, that are longer. So they're like 30, 40 plus minutes. I feel a little, I don't want to be salesy here, but if you're interested, otherwise I'll be here every week for the most part, unless I need a day off or something. And we also have, for the gold level, we have channel guided meditations, and there's a bunch of discounts. So if you're interested, there's that. I do one-on-one readings right now. My schedule's not super open for that, but I might open that up soon here after this live. And I do teach energy work classes, but again, that is also up to my scheduler, and I don't have a lot scheduled right now. So I guess that's it for now as far as self promotion. The channel guided meditations are amazing. Thank you, Andy Pandy Pie. I'm sorry. I got distracted by what someone else is saying. I appreciate that. Sell it for the highest good, Brandon. Thanks, Marina. Gold level is worth it just for those in your opinion. Thank you so much, Andy. I appreciate that. Hey, Carly, good to see you. But I appreciate you telling everybody. But Best part of my day on Sundays. For real, for real. Stay warm coming home on Wednesday. Midwest is cold. Thank you so much, Angie. I appreciate it. And yeah, I'd imagine that. It has been cold recently. Hey, Ruda, great to see you. Haven't seen you in a second. Facts, I don't speak anything else. I appreciate it, Andy Penny Pie. I really appreciate it. So I'm going to grab my guitar and we'll do just a little bit of the energy work infused, that Reiki infused guitar playing. And I'll be back in like 2 minutes or so. Who's special to me? Hi, Brandon. My sister talks highly of you. First time here. Hey, good to see you. I'm honored. Thank you for letting me know. Okay, I will be right back. So, the one thing about this setup is I don't have a lot of room to get my guitar in the frame here with this desk. That kind of works. I'm just going to move this mic a little bit. That should be good. And how is the... I always feel reinvigorated after Brandon's lives. Awesome. How does it get even better than that? Should be in tune. Can everyone hear it okay before I go ham here? Kept me company on your drive. Awesome. I'm glad to hear it. Love the mic. Yes, yes. Okay. So I'm just going to take a second to set intentions for just the Reiki and stuff. So we have the highest and best energies possible that I can bring through for this. So give me 1 second here. It's good. Okay, so you can just take a second to set the intention to receive what's for the highest good for you to receive regarding the Reiki. You can set intentions for yourself, or you can just take it as a meditation, or just listen to the music, whatever you want to do. And I'm just setting the intention. It's fully for the highest good. The Reiki, the healing energy just goes where it needs to go, does what's for the highest good for it to do, and may only what's for the highest good occur. And I'm asking true highest and best infinite source to watch over the healing and the session and just ensure only the highest and best and what's for the highest good occurs for all of you, and that this brings you to the highest and best for it to bring you to. So give me a second and we'll see how the Yummy starts. Here we go. is. Sorry, guys. Okay, I'm gonna close there. So I hope that was good. I think I will just practice a bit more before the next one. But hopefully that was still good. And I'm just going to close it. I ask that only what for that is good comes about from that Reiki, from the energy healing that occurred regarding that music, and that the true highest and best infinite source wraps that up in whatever ways would be for that is good. Continuing any healing that's for that is good to be continued until all shifts and changes that are for that is good to be completed are completed. And may only what's highest and best for the highest good come out from all of that. Thank you so much. That session is closed, and I'm going to ask your spirit guides, my spirit guides, and of course source to just close that out however it would be for that is good energetically. Thank you. Cool. You guys are welcome. So I'm going to close the live there. And I hope all this was good. I'm not sure, for anyone who stuck around for the whole thing, I hope you got, anyone who showed up, I hope you got as much from it as would be for the highest good, and everything that would be for the highest good for you to get from it. I'm wishing you all the highest and best, and may what's for the highest good to occur going forward. And I'll probably see you next week. Yep, I'll likely see you next week. And that's it. You're welcome. I hope that was all good. Oh, excuse me. But love for all. Love it. Just love for all. Cool. All right. You guys have a great rest of your week. Fantastic. Another awesome Sunday. Thank you so much. You are so welcome. I am very glad to hear it. Whoop. Thanks, Sean. All right. So I'm just asking that source. I suppose true highest and best infinite source does whatever is for the highest good for to do for each of you, and I'll see you next week. Maybe I'll hang for just a second in case it's important. Someone has a question or something. You're welcome, Lage for Jade. Ooh, yeah, I'm gonna get water in a second. Oh my god, I feel like I just came back from something. Okay, you guys take care. I will see you on later post or live. Oh, my YouTube name? Yeah. My YouTube name is I would love a Reiki too. It's on my experts list. Okay, yeah, absolutely. I'll get that scheduled. YouTube name is Channeling Source. It should be in my I'm going to use the forbidden words, the link in bio. If you go to, I should have my YouTube, and it should have like a little description of like where the lives from TikTok go. It's just Channeling Source, but with one L, and there's a space between channeling and source. And I know it's confusing because my username here is Channeling Source with two L's, but it is what it is, I suppose. So that's my YouTube name, excuse me. And it should also just be in the Linktree in my bio. So, okay. You guys have a beautiful rest of your day. I'm out of here for now.